What is up, guys? It is RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'll be reviewing WWE Friday Night SmackDown. Overall, I gotta say it was a okay show. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. I thought it was decent. It ended about 30 minutes ago. I just finished watching the SmackDown post-show. Overall, good, decent stuff. And yeah, let's go ahead and get to the review. The first thing we had was Batista to kick off the show. He comes out, he cuts a little segment in full heel mode this time. If you remember last week on Friday, he basically turned heel. Now he's full on, kind of almost full on heel. Basically, sorry, somebody messaged me. Basically, sorry about that, but basically, he cuts a promo. He talks about how all the people in the locker room are weak, and basically says how he's better than everybody else. And he says they need to stop letting fans in the locker room, talking about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan comes out. They kind of exchange words back and forth with each other. And then we basically, in the segment with that, or no, actually after Batista and Daniel Bryan are arguing, Daniel Bryan makes some insults at Batista, what he's wearing, some shades, some skinny jeans, tattoo. He talks about his tattoo on his belly button of the sun, and basically he insults Batista to the point where Batista starts punching Daniel Bryan. They go at it in fist fight. Then here comes Kane running down the ring. Him and Batista are doubling up on Daniel Bryan, beating him up. And then Big Show, who was making his return on this week's episode of SmackDown, comes down and saves the day, clears the ring. Vicky Guerrero comes out and is like, "Excuse me." You knew that there was going to be a tag match. And if it was Teddy Long, he'd be like, "Hold on, wait a minute, player." But it was 2-on-2 tag match announced for the main event of tonight's SmackDown. Vicky Guerrero announced it when she came out. She said tonight's going to be Daniel Bryan and the returning Big Show versus Batista and Kane. So we find out that'll be the main event. Overall, it was pretty. Look, I mean, I don't hate those guys, so it was all right to see that main event. It turned out to be a pretty good match. First match we have to kick off the show is Christian versus Dolph Ziggler. Back and forth action. And Del Rio is ringside since he lost to Ziggler on Raw this past Monday. Del Rio was on SmackDown ringside at the commentary table. He gets on the commentary table, picks up a mic like Aaron Paul did, the guest guy who from Need for Speed who helped Ziggler get the win. Del Rio did the same thing basically, distracted Ziggler, and Christian hits the kill switch finisher for the 1, 2, 3. Christian defeats Dolph Ziggler here with the help of Del Rio and the distraction, and we basically Renee Young interviews Christian after the match. Then Sheamus comes down to the ring. He tries to bro kick Christian. Christian ducks out of the ring, and yeah, we move on with the show from there. The next thing we have is the Usos versus Ryback. So it was a back and forth short match, nothing special here. Basically just to keep the Usos winning streak and momentum alive as newly crowned tag team champions. Back and forth, the Usos would super kick Ryback, and then I'm pretty sure it was Jey Uso, if I'm not mistaken, who would hit the Samoan frog splash off the top rope. He would connect on Ryback for the 1, 2, 3. The Usos would defeat Ryback. So here in a whatever match, like I said, just to give the Usos some more momentum. And then the next thing we would have would be Natalya and Eva Marie versus AJ Lee and Tamina and Divas tag action. Back and forth. Eva Marie didn't look nearly as bad as usual. She still didn't look great in the ring, but it's obvious she's improving somewhat. But still not great by any means. Back and forth action. Natalya would go for the sharpshooter at one point. AJ Lee would counter, and she'd have the Black Widow submission maneuver locked in on Natalya. Natalya would eventually basically make, or AJ would eventually lock in the Black Widow. Natalya would counter again, and Natalya would lock in the sharpshooter, making AJ Lee tap, giving Natalya and Eva Marie the win here over Tamina and AJ Lee via submission. Then we have what they call the Shield Summit segment. since Seth Rollins jumped off the apron during their match on Raw versus the Wyatt family. They're kind of resolving the issue and telling fans what's going on here by having this segment. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns come out separately. Seth Rollins then would come out. He would address this situation. He said, see Dean, you and Roman are getting along fine right now. This was what my point was to send a message to you guys that we need to get it all back on the same page and get this stable back together and not have it so shaky, kind of to the point where it almost disbands. But Seth Rollins kind of like slaps Dean Ambrose across the face and Roman Reigns to send the message. Dean Ambrose hits Seth Rollins in the face. He gets back up. He says it's either now or never, and he puts his hand up like this, where they put their hands in together like that. Reigns puts his hand in, Ambrose puts his hand in, and the Shield are back together for now. We will see what happens. I'm sure, though, it'll disband a lot sooner than later. But it's good that it hadn't disbanded quite yet, because I'm a big fan of the Shield. So, yeah, that was a good segment. I enjoyed it. I thought that was the best segment of the night. One of the best parts of SmackDown, period, in my opinion. And overall, good segment. Then the next match we had was Sheamus versus Alberto Del Rio. Del Rio, this match was pretty good. We've seen it plenty of times before. If you remember their feud at SummerSlam 2012, where they had like 4 straight matches for the World Heavyweight Championship, in which Sheamus would retain every single one. Well, we've seen these two in the same ring before plenty of times, but just kind of like Christian and Sheamus, we've seen them plenty of times, but what are you going to do, really? This match, the only thing that took away from it was that we've seen this match plenty of times before, but this was still a good match. I thought it was one of the better matches of the night, in my opinion. Back and forth action. Del Rio would lock in the cross arm breaker a few times. Sheamus would eventually rope break and get out of the submissions, to the point where Sheamus would hit another bro kick out of nowhere. He'd pin Del Rio for the 1, 2, 3 for the pin and the win. Sheamus would defeat Alberto Del Rio here with the bro kick and the win and the pin. Then we would have Bray Wyatt cut a promo on the Titantron with the Wyatt family in the background talking about Cena. He just says Cena's weak and he doesn't have to do anything because Cena's going to burn and fall like the ashes, and he can't wait to see it. Kind of cryptic promo, same old Wyatt family, same old awesome stuff from the Wyatt family. And okay segment, pretty good stuff. And yeah, so then we have a Batista. Basically, they interview Batista in the back. That's nothing much there. Then they have Daniel Bryan, and I'm pretty sure the main event, Daniel Bryan and Big Show versus Batista and Kane. Main event tag team action. After the backstage interview with Bryan and Big Show and the backstage interview with Batista, they would eventually have some commercials, and then they would go to the main event tag team match. Daniel Bryan and the Big Show taking on Batista and Kane in tag team action. This match was back and forth. Pretty good match overall, I thought. Probably the best match of the night, in my opinion. It made the show better, in my opinion. It was cool seeing Big Show back in the ring, even though he's basically done everything he can in the WWE. But a good match, needless to say. Nothing really stood out. You had a couple spears from Big Show and Batista. And the match started out pretty slow, but the last 7 or 8 minutes it picked up pretty well, and it had a pretty good ending. Kane was going for a choke slam on Daniel Bryan. He was leaning down to pick him up, and Big Show would hit a knockout punch on Kane. Big Show was outside of the ring, and Kane was inside of the ring, close to the ring ropes, and Big Show would come by and hit the big old KO punch on Kane. Kane would fall down, and Daniel Bryan would roll Kane up for the 1, 2, 3, and Daniel Bryan and the Big Show would pick up the win here over Kane and Batista in a good match, when Big Show would knock out Kane with the knockout punch, and Daniel Bryan would roll Kane up for the pin and the win. Overall, good match to end the show. Decent SmackDown. Overall grade I'd give this week's SmackDown would be 4 3/4 out of 10. 4.75 out of 10 is the overall grade I would give this week's episode of SmackDown. pretty good show, decent. I wouldn't say it was terrible, but I wouldn't say it was the best either. So, okay show. Hulk Hogan, they announced that there's going to be an announcement on this Monday night on Raw. Hulk Hogan will make an announcement. Undertaker will be back on Raw this Monday, so it looks like a good Raw. So I'll have a review up after that, hopefully. Hope you enjoyed this review. Again, overall grade, I'd give this show 4.75 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed this review. Check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks, guys.